Hello, I want to welcome everyone back to the channel. We've got a busy past week just before the season starts. We're getting to the season opener now on Tuesday. We have the Lakers and Nuggets playing, of course, at 9 o'clock to kick things off. And their starting lineups just came out. So Darvin Ham has said that he's liked what he's seen from Jackson Hayes in the preseason, and he may get some actual rotation minutes early on this team. Their starting lineup looks to be right now that it's going to be D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince. We also have LeBron James and Anthony Davis up front. So great starting five for them. Taurean Prince was the one guy that filled in the void for them at small forward. We didn't really know what they were going to do there. Were they going to play Rui Hachimura out of position and lose some shooting? Or were they just going to bring in Taurean Prince as a specialist of a 3-and-D type of player? So that's exactly what Darvin Ham has said they're going to do. So let's see what they can do against the reigning champions on Tuesday night. 9 p.m., of course, I am talking about where I live, which is Newfoundland time. It would be 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those living in that area. We had the Spurs waiving Kem Birch and extending Zach Collins on a 2-year, $35 million deal. Zach Collins played about 11 games in 2 seasons before joining the Spurs. About a season and a half ago, he only played 28 games for them 2 years ago. And last season, he did play the majority of the year, putting up about 12 and 6 with 3 assists. So pretty good passing numbers from a big. However, they did just get Wemby. I'm not really sure how much I like this signing. It is $17.5 million a year averaged out. And is Zach Collins going to be part of their long distance future? Probably not. You never know. He's about to turn 26 years old now in about a month. But yeah, I don't like how they're kind of throwing money around like this. Devin Vassell also signed a 5-year, $135 million deal. Don't really know if he's worth that money. The Spurs were horrible last season, which is ultimately how they ended up with Wemby. They got into a position where they could win the draft lottery, and they did. And Vassell last season put up 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and his player efficiency rating was about league average at 15.5 if you're into the advanced stats, and as well as a very low turnover percentage at 8% on a 24% usage. However, I'm not really seeing a whole lot out of him. He needs to develop a lot more as a playmaker and continue down that path, because the 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, it's okay, but it's not worth $30 million or near $30 million a year for the next 5 seasons. So I'd like to see a lot more from him. And 44% from the field is not going to get it done. But the 39% from 3 on 7 attempts per game is a little better. Pretty good, above league average on a good amount of attempts. And I just want to see him get to the line a bit more as well for him to be warranted for that amount of money. We also had a Terrence Mann coming out and saying that he's not going to sign an extension with the Los Angeles Clippers until the end of this season. His value seemed to be very high to the Clippers, and I bet you he's tuned in and really heard this from them. Terrence Mann, of course, has been mentioned in a James Harden trade to the Clippers, and Mann going to the Sixers. However, the Clippers are like, we don't want to lose Terrence Mann. He's a valuable part of our team. Not a whole lot of great box score stats, but he is actually the only player to have a more than 5 wins, no losses against LeBron James. He's 8-0 against him in his career. Crazy stat there. But yeah, Terrence Mann, I guess he just wants to build more value this season. And then at the end of the season, let's look at the extension so he can make some more money. Probably wasn't a whole lot of money on the table for him right now. And you don't want to lock that in when he can perform probably better in this season and make some more money at the end of it. Why not? Steven Adams is now out for the entire season with his knee. He tried to just rehab it without the surgery, and it hasn't been entirely successful, and now he has to get the surgery. He's out for the entire season. They're missing Ja for the first 25 games. Big blow for them, and they don't really have any big man to fall back on. They have David Roddy, who's 6'6". He is about 250, but just not a very good player. He was one of the worst rotation players in the league, in my opinion, last season, playing about 18 minutes a game and not really doing a whole lot while he was there. He was one of the worst players on offense and defense if you look into those numbers. And they don't really have anybody else. Brandon Clark's still out with an injury. Santi Aldama, I guess, will be the backup for Xavier Tillman. That's the only thing I could figure. Maybe they move Jaren Jackson Jr. and get funky with some lineups to the 5. However, he said he's going to be a better rebounder this season. He's going to have to be now with Steven Adams out. He can't fall back on Adams. And he had, of course, Jonas Valanciunas there before, who helped him out a lot with rebounding. So we really need to see Jaren Jackson Jr. become a great rebounder immediately. The Nuggets have extended Zeke Naji on a 4-year, $32 million deal. I don't love it. I don't necessarily hate it. He doesn't play enough to really have a solid opinion on him. He can stretch, but is pretty inconsistent with it. Fits well at times next to Jokic, and he has replaced him on the odd night that Jokic isn't playing, and played okay. It is only $8 million a year, so I'm not going to make a huge deal out of this, but I do think there were probably some other options, or was there even a market for this for Zeke Naji? We'll have to see. The Nuggets really do have to hold on to every dollar right now, as they are a contender, and you can't just be throwing around money wherever you see fit. So we'll have to see. It's not a big contract, but we'll see if he can even live up to that, because he might just be a guy that I could see down the road being waived, so you're not going to want to have to absorb that $8 million or whatever is left on the contract at any point in time. So they'll probably run that out regardless of how he performs, and maybe he can live up to more than the $8 million, so we'll have to see on that. Portland has waived Kevin Knox and picked up Ish Wainwright. Good switch there. Ish Wainwright, some pedigree in the playoffs. He, of course, was with the Phoenix Suns when they made the finals just a few seasons ago and lost to the Bucks. Pretty solid player. Nothing too special from Ish Wainwright, but he can fit the rotation on Portland. And as I just mentioned, add some championship pedigree. Kevin Knox, not a very good player. I don't think he needs to be on an NBA roster right now, as he hasn't really proved himself in that way. So dropping him is a good decision if you can pick up anybody that can fit your rotation right now. The Knicks have converted, yes, Jacob Toppin, not Obi, as they've given up him to the Pacers, but Jacob Toppin to a two-way deal along with Charlie Brown Jr. The Kings have waived Jalen Noel. Real shock there. I thought he played solid with the Timberwolves, and now that they're waiving him, I thought he was going to be part of their guard depth, but instead they are picking up the fourth-year option on Davion Mitchell and Chris Duarte, and giving up on Jalen Noel. Duarte was a bit lukewarm on last season, did not perform as well as he did in his first season with the team. And I'm not really too sure about this. Jalen Noel, I think, should be on the Kings roster still. I hope a team picks him up. Maybe the Chicago Bulls, my favorite team, will pick him up. We do need some more guard depth there. It's solid right away. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he can do some other things for you. I think he needs to be on an NBA team right now. They also picked up the third-year option on Keegan Murray. Obvious choice. Keegan Murray, an amazing basketball player for the Sacramento Kings. Looked very polished and ready in his rookie season for the team. And he's one of my favorite players in the league. Can play the 3 or the 4. And fits really well next to Sabonis. And he fits well in pick and pops with De'Aaron Fox or in the corner off of the catch. So, great pickup for the Kings. The Mavs have converted Dexter Dennis to a two-way deal. Not too much there. Here's the two-way deal. The Mavericks thought they could pick something up small. Sure, there's a few signings I'm going to mention like that coming up here now. The Bucks have signed Marcus Bolden to a two-way deal. He's a big. Sure, once again, the Heat signing Drew Smith to a multi-year deal. Didn't see that happen. It's a standard NBA contract, and that's not something that, I expected to happen per se. Really thought he was just going to stay as a two-way guy. I thought the Heat were going to keep him around, but didn't think it was going to be a standard NBA contract. With Jamari Bouye not being the guy that I think they wanted last season, I guess this is filling that void, so maybe they can get some production out of him. Now with Gabe Vincent gone as well, they had to fill that roster spot. Cole Swider has also been converted to a two-way deal with the Miami Heat. And the 76ers converting Javonte Smart to a two-way deal. The Warriors have waived Rodney Magruder and Rudy Gay. Didn't see that happen with the veteran presence. Magruder, maybe so. Gay, I thought they were just going to leave around as veteran presence. Not getting anything out of him, though, I guess that they wanted, and maybe nothing in the locker room. So the fit wasn't there. He's waived. Rudy Gay may retire now. We'll have to see. The Bulls waived Carlick Jones. Nothing huge there. He's not a great NBA player. Really G League bound, if not overseas. And that was a move that I definitely saw coming. James Harden has remained away from the 76ers and practices and is willing to forfeit the money, it seems, as he is away for personal reasons. Seems to be a little bit more than that, but I don't want to speak on somebody who is claiming personal reasons because you really never know what's going on. So hopefully he can get where he needs to be, join the team again, or maybe they can give him a trade so he can play. We've seen this kind of thing happen with Harden before, though, so it does leave some speculation. But there will be much, much more to come on that, I'm sure, as we've been talking about this now for about the past month. The T-Wolves have waived Matt Ryan, the shooter, the three-point specialist, and signed Dyson Nix to a two-way deal. Interesting move there. I thought Ryan was going to stay in the rotation, but he really only gives you three-point shooting. So I guess picking up Dyson Nix, you might get something out of the young guy. The Nets have waived Darius Bazley. No real shocker there. He struggled to stay in the roster now over the past few seasons after having some signs of showing rotation, level play for the NBA, but ultimately he's out of the league now. The Spurs, as I mentioned earlier, waiving Kem Birch for Zach Collins. That was a great move. I'm going to stick to that one right there. Zach Collins, I don't know about the signing, but Kem Birch doesn't need to be on the team now with Victor Wembanyama, who has looked absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you saw the game the other night, but against the Warriors, he had, I want to say, 3 blocks, 2 on three-pointers, and 1 in the paint. In a span of 90 seconds, he's hitting jumpers. He's going on the fast break. He's dunking. He's hitting threes in transition. He looks absolutely polished and phenomenal right away, and I can't wait to see Victor Wembanyama play this season, so it's no shocker that Kem Birch was waived. Embiid has signed a deal, or looks to sign a deal, with Skechers, the shoe deal. Interesting, Skechers getting in on the basketball shoe scene and picking up some NBA talent, as it's reported that Joel Embiid, Julius Randle, and Terrence Mann will sign deals with Skechers. Interesting to see there. Terry Stotts has stepped down for the Milwaukee Bucks as an assistant coach. It was a shock to Damian Lillard, who he coached for about 9 seasons, and it seemed to be an argument with him and the head coach in Adrian Griffin. A bit of a, misguided direction there. I'm not really sure. Terry Stotts apparently wanted to talk with the players as Adrian Griffin called a huddle for the coaches, and he just kind of yelled at Stotts to get over. Apparently it wasn't a way that Stotts wanted to be talked to. Fair enough. And Stotts does have some coaching pedigree in this league for a very long time right now, and I guess he's done with that. Griffin didn't say anything bad with him, wished him the best, and said that he was professional and he's learned a lot from him in a short period of time. But Stotts stepping down after coming back from coaching after being off for the past couple of seasons. Sad to see that happen. Maybe he'll go to another team. Maybe this will just be it for Terry Stotts in the NBA. So we'll have to see with that. The Knicks waived Isaiah Roby and Jalen Martin. No big shockers there. Just freeing up some, player roster space there immediately. And the last bit of news that we have here today is that Deni Avdija has just signed an extension as I'm recording this with the Washington Wizards. There's no number that's come out right now. I'm just getting this as a rumor that he'll sign an extension. Good to see him the other night, Jordan Poole. He didn't look very happy with him against the Knicks when Poole was going off, not really passing, and then Poole the next game had a horrible game against the Raptors, shooting abysmal from the field. I think at one point in time it was like 1 for 10. So Poole not looking like a great fit early on, not doing much more than trying to shot create and really trying to take on the world, so to speak, on offense. This has been Core Chronicles. Thank you for tuning in today. A long video there today for you, and I'll be talking to you now in the next few days as some more news develops.